G'day, Newcastle. Welcome back to your Jetstream. Apologies, we missed last week. We had a couple of scheduling conflicts with a few different people, including myself. So apologies again. But we are back, and we've got two games to talk about. One not so great, and one really good. So we'll get into them. It's a big welcome back to my fellow contributors, Matt. Mate, welcome back.
Evening, mate. What are you talking about? We missed a week. No.
Yeah.
Last week was the first week of the season.
Last week was yeah. Well, we're going to talk about it, but yeah, I'd love to scratch that from my memory. And also, welcome back, Ben, mate. How are you going?
Doing good. I am, also treating last week as the first week of the season, so I'm very riding the high and seeing us, winning the league after that one win.
Absolutely.
I
will say as well, if there's been a couple of quality issues on this podcast over the next couple of weeks, it's mainly due to my crapped out Wi-Fi setup, which I'm hoping to replace at the end of the month. But yeah, it's just Wi-Fi's dropping in and out. So if there is a couple of quality issues from Matt and Ben's side of things, that's not their fault. That's purely down to my connection. And yeah, hopefully that'll be fixed in a few weeks. But please bear with us. And again, apologies.
So you're saying it's an issue with the connection rather than our content?
Well, yeah, the content comes as it may, but it's the issue is the connection.
There's my get out of jail free card.
Yeah, well, you're doing well. Right, so we'll get into it. Round one was obviously the away F3 derby. Didn't end the way we wanted, and after all of the positivity in the off season from winning the cup and a lot of momentum behind the Jets, Ben, unfortunately the first sort of 15 minutes of that game was as good as it got for us. Come backwards and forwards into the game a little bit, but the Mariners, with everything that was going on behind the scenes in the lead up to this match, they just appeared to want it more overall.
Yeah, and I don't like saying I told you so, but one of the things I remember when we were previewing this match, I said if the Mariners get a siege mentality in place, like, okay, the whole world's against us, we've got to arc up and really just fight everyone for everything, they will cause us headaches. And there was no better example of that than the last 30 seconds, where they went from conceding a penalty to scoring at the other end. And as much as we can say, the Jets are back, typical Jets, that is actually more, in my opinion, down to the Mariners just wanting it more and needing a win, needing that little boost of confidence just to get their season going. And where we were riding the high of the Australia Cup, the Mariners really needed... They needed something good in their lives, and it just happened to be us opening day of the season in a derby.
Matt, that was probably the jetsiest Jets I ever saw. I couldn't get any more Jets than that. It was, especially after winning the cup and having all this positivity, there was just, and they knew, because Milligan said it in the pre-match warm-up on the interview on Paramount Plus. Beware the wounded bull. Beware exactly what Ben was saying, and we still ended up not coming out on the right side of this game.
Yeah, it was disappointing, and there were signs, I guess, in the lead up and in the cup that that we might be troubled by the pressure of the A-League, given it was a very young team, and we're still prone to making lapses and turning over the ball in non-ideal sort of situations. And I think that the Mariners just really turned up the pressure. I still think we were the better team for the majority of the match, but it was just certain blunders and inability, I guess, to adjust to the pressure that they were putting on us and that slightly higher tempo, the game, because it is definitely a step up when the season starts versus the cup, even if you've played against A-League opposition previously.
Yep.
So there were always signs, like there were a couple of NBL teams that gave us a few issues, like Avondale's, just when they got back to 2-2 showed that we weren't exactly that solid. But yeah, I still think that there was a silver lining to come out of it. It just came down to a couple of unfortunate mistakes at inopportune times.
Obviously, we're not going to go into the minutiae of the detail of this game. We will just sort of give it a quick overview. But Ben Battleado got his Thunder Bastard count off to a good start very early in this game, in the 14th minute. Who would have thought that by this stage, round 3, he'd be 4 goals to the good in 2 games? But does he score anything other than bangers?
I think when we get into the proper first match of the season against the Victory, the answer to that question is going to be no. And given my background as research and data, I'm going to say based on the evidence so far, no, he doesn't. Therefore, everything he scores from now on will be bangers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was good to see him. Good to see him bring that form that he was showing in the cup comp into the A-League pro season proper, even though obviously he was missing for that final game, Matt. But what about you? What was your thoughts on that first goal? Everything was looking promising for that first sort of 15 minutes or so. I don't know whether the goal just put everyone in an overconfident frame of mind, thinking, oh, well, we've scored 15 minutes in, we're whacking in bangers, this is going to be easy, and then we just went to sleep for the remaining, I think it ended up being 114 minutes or something, 108 minutes or something like that, 14 minutes of injury time by the time the game finished.
Yeah, it certainly was disappointing. When you take a lead with a team like this that is expected to score goals, and we know we'll concede, but you generally sort of go into the game thinking that we'll outscore the opposition. I think that was sort of my case from earlier, was that Central Coast certainly stepped it up. They got a bit of steel in the tackles. The press was ramped up another 20-30%, and it was good to see that I guess that we sort of learnt from that the week after. But this team is still certainly growing and expanding, and the more experience that they get, the better they'll get. But yeah, Battleado, not just his contributions from earlier in the cup, but obviously AFC Young Player of the Year.
Yep.
He's brought it back to the club as well, and it's great to see. I hope we can hang on to past January.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to be losing him this early. Well, look, 14th minute was when Battleado scored the first goal, and then it was literally 14 minutes later, the first of 2 in 2 minutes went in, Ben, and it was coming. It was coming on the commentary. The commentary was saying the Jets are losing the momentum, and the Central Coast are all over him. And when Burgess conceded the penalty, basically both of them said, yeah, this has been coming for the last 15 minutes, and it came to pass. And it took us a while to wrestle the momentum back. It was second half where we did that, but there was long periods there where they were all over us, and they got their just rewards for it.
And this is what I have done my best to scrub the rest of this match after our first goal from my memory, but it's one of the things that we, as being a young team, we need to have a little bit of bastard in us, and at the moment that bastard factor comes from Burgess and Susnya. And Burgess is going to give away penalties like that. That's fine. Happy for him to cop it. But that being said, it's kind of how we respond to that. And when it got reversed later in the match, we saw how the Mariners responded. But I'm not surprised that we gave away a penalty like that. And I think we're going to give away quite a few more as the season progresses as well. So Hopefully Delyanov is doing a lot of penalty practice, because I think he's going to be facing a crap ton of them this season.
He might need to be watching Jack Duncan tapes, learning not what to do, but we'll get onto that game in a minute. Matt, how much of a miss was not having Grozos in the middle of the park? Bayliss really struggled in this game. The midfield really struggled in this game without Grozos being there. Obviously, the red card at the end of the cup final ruled him out of this game, and we saw the difference in our midfield between the derby and the victory game, which we'll talk about in a second. But how big a miss was not having Costa in the middle, like helping protect things?
From a seniority sort of aspect, yeah, probably. From, I guess, sort of going back to what Ben was saying, I agree that we missed that bastard sort of factor, which all good teams have got that one player that will sort of rally the troops with, and the player that everyone else in the opposition hates. So
who is the bastard though?
Who is the bastard that we've got at the moment? That's the big question. Like, Lockie Rose is a bit of a bastard.
Well, he was a bastard when he played for Bulls, and we were so happy to get him.
Nice.
But he's not a bastard playing for us.
But and that's it. Like, I mean, when he was playing against us, he was a bastard. I don't think we've had a proper bastard in midfield since we had UG, to be honest with you. Like, even Gus was still sort of growing into the role.
Is UG a bastard though? I always thought he was silky.
Yeah, no, but he had that in him. Like, he had that little bit of aggression in him. Joe Wheelhouse and Zadko were like the perfect bastards. Unfortunately, we didn't have the sort of team around them. But sometimes you just need that player that's not necessarily the best player on the pitch, but the one that's going to get the fired up the most and change the momentum. And
Bugard during his red card phase.
Yeah, well, Bugard probably after his red card phase was a better example, because he knew what to do and like where to draw the line. I wasn't, like, the fact that they got a penalty and they scored didn't disappoint me that much. It was the fact they scored 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
And we
talk about that
on after having a goal scored against us. Like, that was the part that was really disappointing.
And they sliced us open on that one too.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. Like, it wasn't. It wasn't luck. It wasn't, like a bad mistake. It was just, them playing much better football and us like being shell shocked. So
yeah,
like we definitely miss that leadership, and maybe that's what Grozos offers. And like, from the armchair, I think we've all been sort of critical of him being in midfield, but it's definitely a part, like a position in the team that we're still really like struggling for a real leader, like in that sort of 6 or 8 role. And yeah, I think Burgess has been fantastic since he's been in. Rossos has had good games like this year. Bayliss is still obviously coming back from injury, so he's got fitness concerns. And I think like especially on the podcast, I think you guys have been very critical of him, although that his contributions haven't been too bad. Yeah, look, with a young team, you certainly need that spine. Like, you would at least need one senior centre back, one senior midfielder, one senior striker to organise the lines. And I think that we've got that with Lockie Rose or Coda, if they're playing.
Yep.
I just sort of feel like we're really missing that midfield link at the moment.
So the aforementioned partial bastard came on as part of a triple change in the 56th minute. So Ben Gibson, Fryer and Burgess, they all went off, and Lockie Rose, Eli and Bracco came on. And Ben, that sort of seemed
I say that with all like love intended as well.
Yeah.
Like, because now that he's one of our players, like he's not a bastard. He's like just a passionate player.
Absolutely. But that sort of marked a bit of a turnaround, I think, in the momentum. It was a lot more even in this from that point. Ben Lockie was putting himself around, and I don't really want to talk about the VAR incident, but we're going to have to talk about the VAR incident. What the F was that?
I think Millsy pretty much said that in the post-match press conference as well. It's
That was about the 68th minute, wasn't it? 70th minute?
somewhere in there. It was very much a matter of it's VAR kind of overstepping, in my opinion. VAR should not be there.
It was against the guidelines completely.
Yeah, it's not supposed to re-referee. You're not supposed to be able to rescind a yellow card.
No, and that's not what it's designed for in that context either. It's very much is there something there I missed? You're given direction to go over there and have a look. What is it that you might have missed? And instead we get, maybe the thing that came over here and was looking at, they sent me over here to look at A, but now looking at this, I'm thinking, maybe I could use this as an opportunity to screw another team and to, as you say, go back and re-referee. So, yeah, against the guidelines, I think VAR is probably, I don't think VAR belongs in football. I still think we should get rid of it. And nothing I've seen this season has convinced me otherwise.
Matt, I'm at a loss with this because it's a review for denial of a goal scoring opportunity. So I understand why he went over to look at it again. If he thought that Lockie didn't get touched, which he might not have got
a yellow card to Lockie.
It should be a yellow card to Lockie for simulation. It wasn't. He said that it wasn't a foul when it clearly was, even if the player's feet didn't make contact with Lockie's feet. The intent was still there, and B, the upper body was still in contact with Lockie to put him off balance, which is why Lockie went down. I don't understand how. I'm pretty sure it was Sean Evans who was at the center of this, was even considering that this wasn't a foul. Andy Harper hates the Jets and said it was a foul, and he doesn't understand why this decision was overturned. He was flabbergasted about what took place, and I've still got absolutely. We've got VAR history. We all know. This is the time I wish it wasn't working. What can you, I can't. My brain literally melted during that 4 or 5 minute period where I was just like, what the hell is going on here?
I'll put my hand up and say, I do not stay 100% up to date with all of the new rulings and technical directives that come from FIFA regarding the use of the VAR. However, my understanding is they can't re-referee the game. All they can do is overturn, or all they can do is
clear
advise.
and obvious error.
When that was given a yellow, I'm like, yeah, it was a fair way out, so fair enough, yellow.
The other player was coming across, so fair
enough. But when you look at the replay, I'm like, this is going to be a red. Like, and they keep looking at it. This is going to be a red. He's reaching out with both arms to impede his progress. Like, this is the only thing that they can be considering, is that it's going to be a red. Like, it was 100% a foul, like 100%.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can't overturn a yellow card, at least with my limited understanding of VAR. They're not there to overturn yellow cards, and they're not there to re-referee. All they're there to do is check to see if something was missed. And yeah, I can't answer your answer any better, Furns. What you've put on the table is 100% like what I agree with. It was
I'm literally just looking for positive reinforcement of my opinion.
It was like, I agree with your opinion. I don't know that it would have necessarily made like a massive difference to
the end
result. Like, we still drew level, and then we still had the opportunity to win the game. But it, from a sticking point, and I agree with Ben as well, is that like as much good that VAR does with offsides and all the rest of it, I think it's lost with the delays and the non-obvious handballs and everything else that is introduced to the game when you're looking frame by frame to see if the hand's gone away from the body and all the rest of it. It shouldn't. The game shouldn't be played like that. If it's going to be played like that, get all of the players to wear like sensors on on their entire body, and we'll run it in VR, and pretty soon they won't even need to turn up to the pitch. They'll just do it. They'll simulate the game, and that'll be that. Like it just
turn it to
get rid of
FIFA.
it. Yeah,
Turn it to AEDST.
Yeah. Chat.
And I also think the fact that it's Sean Evans did play into that as well. We've only won 7 matches out of the 38 that he's officiated with the Jets.
Wow.
And we tend to get more yellow cards. He gives more yellow cards again, like to Jets players than opposition players out of that 38 games. So he's given us 71 yellow cards.
But Ben,
over the 12 years.
Look at the overall, and we've probably only won the same percentage of games in the time that he's been refereeing. So I don't think it's necessarily a bias that one referee has got against the Jets, although there may be slightly, but I think it's a flawed system more than a flawed referee.
Yeah. Okay. I'd prefer. Well, look, I can see why VAR was used to call him back, but the interpretation of what VAR is showing Sean Evans, like we don't know what was going on in the background of like what conversations they were having while he was sitting there at the iPad watching the replays 500 times before he comes up with his decision that he comes up with. So I don't know how much VAR were guiding him towards what eventually was the decision taken, or whether they've shown him saying, this is what's happened, and then he's decided to take that decision to reverse the entire thing. So yeah, I think they're equally to blame, just quietly. But yeah, anyway, let's move on and discuss something slightly less, well, actually just as much frustrating, which was the unfortunate. Well, actually before that, Lockie Rose did put the ball in the back of the net to square it up, and I thought I had my fingers, toes, and everything else crossed for the remainder of the game that was how it was going to stay. It looked like that until, again, the aforementioned 14 minutes worth of injury time, Ben. But that at least we were able to get back to level pegging. Lockie was making a pain in the arse of himself since he came on and was joining on the spot for the ricochet when I'm pretty sure it was Eli Adams that had the actual shot that ended up getting blocked and ricocheted straight in front of him, and he was able to pop it away. I'm hoping I'm not confusing it with the Ben Gibson goal from the victory game, but I'm pretty sure that's how it eventuated. But we were able to get back to 2-2 before the last gasp winner that we will get onto in a minute.
I want to say how good it was to see Lockie get a goal. He's very much a confidence player, and you could tell particularly throughout our Australia Cup campaign, and especially in the final and also towards the latter stages of last season, he was getting incredibly frustrated and really, really down on himself with just how he was playing and performing with, his lack of action in front of goals. So I'm glad that he was able to get one on the score sheet. Yes, it's one that my grandma probably could have scored, but I don't care. A goal is a goal, and let's hope that he kicks on from there, pun intentional.
And fingers crossed he can actually have a consistent run of games rather than the stop-start season he had last season with all the injuries and everything. He was in, he was out, he was in, he was out. It was just, he couldn't get any rhythm or flow happening, and that was probably part of what eventuated with his frustration and not being able to get a consistent run and being able to get the ball away regularly. So, yep. Matt, want to talk about the goal save and then immediately going up the other end and Delianov doing his best Jack Duncan impression?
Yeah, it is. What can you say? It was unfortunate. It was a clear penalty that even VAR couldn't overrule. With Aquilina getting taken down. I thought they put Adams in a really tough spot.
He grabbed the ball. He wasn't.
Okay.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
He was. He immediately went. Like, fair enough. I'm happy that a player has got confidence to say, put his hand up immediately and say, "I'll take this." But yeah, never taken a penalty before.
Yeah, and why wasn't Lockie Rose the one? Lockie Rose is in training, he is the penalty taker. He is our lead striker. He should have been Johnny on the spot, but again, he is too nice.
Is it usually Connor that
Eli
takes it?
take it, and
Who was taking the penalties last year?
And not Lockie. It was Costa is the number one penalty taker.
Yeah.
Well, obviously Costa wasn't there. Coda wasn't there. So yeah, maybe there needs to be a bit of a discussion about what the hierarchy is. Because I mean, look, I don't think it was a poor penalty, but it was pretty easy save for. And all the obvious talk about the grey wiggle and all that other bullshit that was going on around it. And
I think they were also saying that he's only saved 2 out of 32 in the A-League, so it's not like his percentage is that massively high. But I guess he's got that aura about him now since the that Socceroos game.
Yeah, the Socceroos games. What everybody remembers, they don't remember the other 30 that he let in.
Yeah,
and how shit he was when he played for Sydney.
It's 100%.
How old is Redmayne?
He'd be getting there.
Like, surely
someone can look it up.
Yeah, like, there's a reason he's not still playing for a big club and he's playing for Central Coast. If he was that good a keeper, he'd still be it, because keepers can play until in their like early 40s.
37.
Yeah, well, depending on who it is.
It's the like the physical age and the mental age. I think Jack Duncan might be about 55.
We'll get onto that.
Disappointing. Like I thought I didn't realize that that Adams walked up and grabbed the ball and basically took control of it, which is sort of what you want to see. But when you've got Lockie Rose, Adelardo, even like Susnia, like as a senior player, you'd expect that even if someone wants the ball, it should still go to the right person.
Yeah.
And Rose had just scored, so would have had a bit of confidence. Obviously, save was made, the rebound went out. Rose missed the follow up, and it was like pretty dirty on himself about missing the follow up. But the ball should have already been in the back of the net, and that should have been the end of the game.
And at the end of the day, whether we scored or not, we still shouldn't have been in a position where a long ball up the field ahead of forward, and then a goalkeeper coming out and not doing anything, Ben, to stop the to get to the ball before it bounces to a player. It's clear through, especially when Cooper had been hobbling around for 15 minutes with a cramp and partial hamstring injury, was barely able to cover. And they hoofed the ball up 10 seconds later and were able to put the game away. And we end up with nothing.
Yeah, and it's... as you said at the start, it's the Jetsiest Jets ending to a Jets match. You could have imagined. Delianov has to do so much better there. And I'll be honest to say, I think he just kind of checked out and went, cool, that's an interesting play. That's an interesting play. Oh, shit, I'm not in the stands. I need to actually do something here. And there just wasn't the, gusto from the mind about it to get it done, which is, just typical Jets.
It's the one hole that he's got in his game is coming out to the ball. Like we've seen it in the cup as well a couple of times where he's
you saw it when he played for Adelaide. You saw it when he played for Adelaide.
He's a great shot stopper, but don't get me wrong. Like we forget about first week and you compare the second two. Like he, when there was a ball a shot that he had to palm off. At least he got it past the 18-yard line. Like, he didn't put it like on the 6-yard line for someone to follow up and score. Like, so that part of his role is doing really well. It's just the whole confidence to come out, or when to come out, or how quickly to come out. Hopefully he doesn't sort of get exposed too many more times this season.
Ironically, he did do that exact thing that you said that he was good at in the victory game when he parried away that shot from Davidson that other that John Rowe put in for the victories first. But
that was about 12 yards out. He didn't put it straight in front.
Yeah. Look, yeah. So unfortunately, that game was 3-2. That's the way the derby ends. But I'm more hopeful and positive about where we are than where they are. So we'll see how that ends up at the end of the season. But much happier things to talk about when we move to the pretty short turnaround. So that game was on the Sunday, and then we backed up on Friday night to host a victory. And this turned out, Ben, much better than we anticipated after that first game performance. For large parts, I was a little bit worried as to how we'd perform in this. I was hoping to get to this game, but unfortunately I had no transportation to get down to Newcastle. So unfortunately I was watching this one on my sofa. But it was a really good performance. Couple of faces. A new face, and the returning Grozos, his face was back in the squad. We also had Dobson back, who was missing in the first game. I think he was ill. Unfortunately, we'd lost Coda before the first game, and then we lost Eli from an injury in training, I believe, the day before the victory game as well. So he might be out for a few weeks too. But it was a sorry.
Eli's back this week.
Oh, he's
along
back
with
this
Clayton
week.
Taylor.
Right. Excellent. Well, that'll be an interesting selection headache for Milligan, which we will talk about shortly. But Ben, it was a much better performance, and it was something that you, after the disappointment from the derby, it was something you would immediately want to see what we saw, which was a complete turnaround in mentality, drink bodes, and basically we dictated for large periods of that game how that game eventuated.
First 10 minutes, I actually think Victory were much, much better at dictating the tempo. They were, anytime the ball drifted into our defensive third, they were on us, they were pressing us, and it was just against the run of play that the first goal came. I think this is one thing we're going to have to get used to this season is because we have got such a young squad there, unless something clicks with them or unless something goes right very early, we're going to be up against it, and we will end up pushing shit uphill for the majority of the matches that we play. So something needs to click early, and I think we did get we got lucky in being able to catch Victory on the break in the 13th minute to be able to get that goal. But up until the 10th minute, we were under the pressure. Badalato got clobbered very early, and he was down in back play for a while, holding his leg. I'm like, gosh, this is
not good.
It's going to be one of those matches. And then next thing we know, we get a breakdown the right-hand side, and Ben Gibson scores on his A-League debut.
Hang on, he played last year.
Season debut then.
His first goal of the season. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, now it was good to see Dobson back, Matt. He did some fantastic work on that right-hand side. And look, Fryer was good in a couple of the cup games when we saw him come on, but maybe not quite ready for. Obviously, it was necessity was the reason why he started in the derby, but Dobson seems to be it's going off that performance just in that one game, seems to be the best option to replace Coda while he's out injured for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I agree with that. He was certainly very tidy in that like combination that he had with Battleado. Like obviously Gibson got the first goal, but it was the cutback from Dobson to Battleado saved.
Yep, straight
pushed right into Gibson's feet, middle of the 6-yard box, and then put in the net.
Yep.
And then I think it was it Battleado's second that Dobson basically did the same thing, you know, like beat his player, cut back, and Dobson beat his player, cut back to Battleado and put it in. Like, that's a really exciting combination from a couple of, you know, young players that we've got that are obviously sort of starting to gel. I think to elaborate on Ben's point, I think Victory sort of came out with the same plan that that Central Coast did the week before, was that they're going to put pressure on us, they're going to batter us, and we're going to fold. And it was slightly against the runner play, I guess, that we got our first. But from as soon as we got our first goal, we definitely sort of started to play our way into the match. Other than, you know, those you know, couple of 10-minute periods where they were able to score, and you know, it is concerning that we just don't seem to sort of switch on again after, you know, the opposition's been able to put one in the net.
Ben,
as far as Fry goes, he's obviously got it all. Like in the final third, he's looking like a really good prospect. Obviously having a year out has probably stunted his development a little bit, and maybe a little bit on the defensive end. That's probably you know, where he needs to sort of improve his game. But he's looking like when Adams was out, he was looking like a very able sort of substitute. You know, hair, color, style, and the way that he plays for Adams.
Ben, we've seen with previous Jets teams, especially ones that have got an overabundance of younger players, that we can get bullied by the more experienced sides. That's obviously what happened in, well, not necessarily that exact scenario happened in the first game, but these sorts of matches are going to help these players learn to deal with that side of the game a lot better. And it seemed to be the reaction. I'm very happy with the way they reacted to how Victory decided to play the match, and they weren't going to let themselves get bullied. They were going to play out. And I'm hoping that that's the green shoots that we're going to see develop even more as the season goes on. Does that give you the same impression and the same hope?
Definitely. And I think this is a credit to Millsy, and where we're starting to see the differences between the Robbie Stanton approach and the Mark Milligan approach, because the players do seem to have a lot more confidence in themselves and do seem to... no, you've just got occasional players who will grab the game by the scruff of the neck and go, right, give the ball to me. I'm going to have a bit of a crack here. And Battleato showed us that pretty much from the 15-minute mark. After he gets clogged and after we get the first goal in, when things start getting tough, he inserts himself. Like in the lead up to the second goal, Bertoncello loses it, gets pushed off it, and Battleato just kind of goes, right, screw this, I'm getting in, steals the ball back off the Victory player, not quite sure who that was, runs, pretty much makes his run, pushes off a defender and has a crack from just outside the box. It's that kind of player and that kind of fight that I think we were missing quite a bit under Robbie, or if it was coming through under Stanton, it was the older players who were encouraged to take that, where, not quite sure what Mark Milligan's given the young blokes, but they're moments like that, they will take it by the scruff of the neck, go, right, I'm in charge now, I'm going to do this. and it's starting to pay off. We saw it in the Cup final. Didn't see it in the Mariners game. We're seeing it in this one, and I think that's what's going to make this season really encouraging for us, is those matches and those moments where the young blokes like your Battolatos and Oscar Fryers and Eli Adams go, right, screw this, give the ball to me, I'm going to have a crack here.
And Matt, touching on what Ben was saying there between Millsy and Robbie last season to this season, not just with the players that Millsy's brought in, but with the players that are still in the team. Last season, the main person we saw trying stuff on a consistent basis was Clayton Taylor. And he had the confidence if it didn't come off, and you hear the groans from the crowd, or an eye roll from Robbie Stanton on the side of the pitch. He wasn't afraid to try something else or go back and try it again. That didn't seem to be what happened with a lot of the other players. They would go into their shell and they wouldn't want to stand out from the pack and try too much and try and get too many people thinking that, this kid's rubbish. These kids that we've got now seem to have the confidence, and also what's Ben's alluding to there, Millsy's given them the free rein to be able to have a go, and if it doesn't come off, they will go back and try it again, or they'll try something else. And getting that muscle memory to, in this situation, this could probably work, or if it doesn't work, then this situation crops up again, I can try this instead. It seems the green shoots are going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, and we're mining the crap out of one game for content, but hopefully extrapolating it forward, things are going to be a lot more exciting, and we're going to see bigger differences between last season and what we're actually going to see this season.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to answer the question, but I can certainly see that. Excuse me. That from an attacking perspective, like we seem to be, the squad seems to be a lot more top heavy. We've certainly got a lot more options in that front five than the back five. And I think the benefit of having youthful players sort of come into the team is that they're probably coming from a standard of play that's lesser, like MPL or youth league or whatever it is that they were playing in last season. Like you saw Burton Jello sort of early on, like carving it up as well. So they've come from a standard where they try stuff against maybe lesser players and get away with it and score. So they're prepared to do that, and like it's the exuberance of youth. Like they'll try it and then they'll try it again, and they don't get as disheartened. Whereas maybe the slightly older players will, more sort of play the percentages. Obviously Millsy's doing something in the background that is rubbing off on them as far as maintaining that confidence. Where if they do turn the ball over, or if they do try something and it doesn't work out, they're still prepared to try it again 5 or 10 minutes later. And I think Fry's is a pretty good sort of example of that. Was it the Heidelberg game? I think he turned the ball over a couple of times in a halfway and then ended up scoring sort of later on.
Yep.
So whatever he is doing to build up these young guys, and obviously he's brought a lot of confidence into the young guys with this whole ethos of sort of signing scholarship players and signing a lot more players. And the big difference I've sort of seen between him and Millsy in this like limited sort of sample space that we've got is that Stanton gave a lot of players in the cup an opportunity, but then as soon as the season started, he went back to the journeyman.
Yeah.
Whereas Millsy hasn't done that, and sure, the results were slightly different, but they could have been very easily the same. Like we were lucky to get away with a couple of those matches. And while these guys, especially in the front third or the front half of the pitch, are obviously full of confidence at the moment, it will be sort of interesting to sort of see how he reins them in and how he gets them to react for, like under the pressure that will be, full-time professional football, and when we get a goal scored against us. Yeah, but as it sort of stands now, like the future looks really, really good, and it's like Merrick-esque era where you're not really worried if the opposition scores 1 or 2, because you're pretty confident your team can go and score 2 or 3. So we're going to win more games by scoring more goals, which no shit, but it hasn't
The
necessarily.
Kevin Keegan
I
method.
don't think that was the Stanton method.
Yeah.
As soon as we seemed to get ahead with Rob, he wanted to park the bus, or at least that was what was going on the pitch. Even if that wasn't what he wanted to happen, he wasn't sure how to get the players to keep playing the same game that they were, that got them ahead. Whereas now, like we've seen, 4-2s, 5-2s. It's great to see that they don't go into their shells. So whatever Millsy's doing in the background to like keep the confidence high on these young players, he just needs to keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, casting our mind back, Ben, I mean, I don't know how much more we want to wring out of this particular point, but we've seen young squads at the Jets basically due to necessity, with, not having the available money to sign, expensive players and all that. So we've relied on youth a number of times in the past, NPL players, youth players, players from the academy, obviously in their earlier years. So your Mark Jones and your Clayton Zanes and those sorts of coaches who were dealing with these younger players but weren't able to get a tune out of them. It was very... It's always stuck in my memory. The first time I sat down and had a chat with Ernie Merrick on the podcast was, why did we get rid of so many of our younger players, especially ones that were locals? And he just said, well, you need more experience. When I came in, I identified there were too many young players and they didn't have the mental fortitude they needed, the experience to be able to be where we needed to be. And that was the reason why 2018 happened, because he brought in more. It might have been what had been colloquially termed journeymen, but they were experienced players, and you saw the turnaround and what happened that season. So whereas Millsy's gone the other way, and he's relying on youth, but he seems to be getting a better tune out of them. Why do you think that is? Is it down to the quality of coaching? Is it down to the players? Are we now producing a better standard of players in both the NPL and the academies, that they're closer to the level we need them to be when we bring them into the A-League?
I think part of it is definitely the messaging of the coaching. I wonder if the fact that Millsy is a former Socceroo and does have that, I guess, recency of experience of playing at the highest international level as you can in Australia, that the players are lapping up every word that comes out of his mouth and the guys just go for it. That being said, the 2018 season with Ernie Merrick is also the one that I've also described as the year that the Jets started to break, because of the amount of money that was spent on wages. And we ended up, with Martin Lee going, okay, well, look, that was expensive. I got nothing out of it. And yeah, the 6 years of the Jets winter. But yeah, this season, I think we're looking at the youth as more of an investment. We're not just throwing them into the A-League and going, okay, look, maybe 1 or 2 will get a good run out of it and we'll maybe turn a profit on a couple of transfers. It seems that there is a genuine, I guess, attempt to get the players battle ready, for want of a better term, and to give them the freedom to fail within the A-League. We've got the Australia Cup, we've got ACL2 locked in for next season. It is now just a matter of, right, guys, let's do the best we can within the league. And we're going to have an inconsistent season, but you know what? We're going to be better off for it.
And at least it'll be exciting. Matt,
Yes.
First time we'd seen Shaughnessy, obviously been missing for a while, but I thought overall solid. And it's going to be really good to see him and Struzna spend most of the could we? I mean, obviously, again, we're only making all these summations off the back of one game, but looks a fairly solid partnership in its early formation.
Yeah, mate. I think there were a couple of us in the group chat that sort of all mentioned that they hardly noticed that it was on the pitch, which is always a good sign for a centre back and or a holding midfielder. You tend to notice the mistakes more than the good things that they necessarily do. Like he was positionally quite good during the game. Like if there was any criticism, it might have been on that second victory goal.
Yeah. Maybe a lack of match sharpness.
Yeah, possibly. Like I mean, Sujner pushed forward, and like there were a few things that sort of went wrong there for that second one. But I don't think you can I don't think you can heap the blame, straight on him. But he was the kind of player. He's the kind of player I think that we are sort of crying out for, especially if Sujner is unavailable for whatever reason. Like I think the back line will definitely be stronger if it contains one of those two. Whether it's Shaughnessy or whether it's Sujner. So I think that I don't necessarily think that he'll start every match. I think that the way that Cooper has played, once again in that sort of limited sample that we've seen, I think that he's sort of someone that Milligan will keep his faith in. But he's going to provide that sort of leadership and that sort of steadying influence because he's definitely been around the block. So when you don't notice a centre back, it's probably a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is probably going to be this section of the podcast, so we could probably headline the Battleado Appreciation Hour. It probably won't go for that long, but feel free to spend as long or as little amount of time waxing lyrical about that performance, a hat-trick. I thought at one point I was... before he scored his second and third goals, I was thinking, well, look, he's doing really well, but if he hadn't have scored that goal, would I give a man of the match performance to maybe Max Burgess or Dobson? Both of those players performed really, really well in this match. But yeah, Battleado, Ben, just basically stepped it up after that first goal and basically ran the show for the rest of the game. And quite a few people and I was in a couple of different chats while the game was on, and quite a few people were saying, geez, I hope we can keep hold of this guy for longer than a couple of months, because if he keeps doing that, he's going to have people come call him pretty quick.
That was the question that I know was put to Millsy by, I can't remember who it was now, from Paramount, and Millsy pretty much said the same thing. I hope we can hang on to him for the season, because there are already rumours doing the rounds that there's a couple of J-League clubs sniffing around and sending folk out to watch him. So yeah, hopefully we get to hang on to him. But that being said, what a way to, I guess, for the team to make amends for the horror show in round one, to Battleado really taking the game, right, give it to me, let's see how we go, and really personify the grit and the fight that's back within the club, because that's something that we've missed over the last couple of seasons.
Your turn, Matt.
What I would like to say is I thought that his best goal was his second one, even though that did, from a team perspective, even though that didn't make the shorts for goal of the week. I thought that assist from Dobson was absolutely brilliant. The way that he skinned their centre back along the byline and then cut it back. So great team goal, and he was probably unlucky not to score the first as well. Like that was saved and put on a platter for Gibson. So the guy has been absolutely immense. He was good earlier in the cup. He missed the last couple of matches with young Socceroos duty, and obviously whatever they were feeding him while he was overseas and playing, he's certainly brought back that hunger. Great player. Good news for the Jets, I guess, as well, is that, like Ben said earlier, that Clayton Taylor's possibly back, or at least in contention to be in the squad this week, and we've seen sort of what a quality player that he is as well. He fills a very sort of similar position, so things are sort of looking good from an attacking perspective. So it's great to see young players play with confidence and get their just desserts.
Ben, we've signed him on a 2-year contract, which is great. He spent 7 years under contract with Wanderers. How could they have missed the quality that they had? Obviously, last season he was at Victory. They didn't play him all that much, but Victory wanted to keep him and were hoping to sign him, but luckily we were able to get him to sign with us. But how could... I mean, it seems to have come out of the blue, or has it?
I don't think it has. There was an interesting moment at the end of the match where Juan Mata went up to Bertoncello and gave him a bit of a hug and a chat in the ear. And Daniel McBreen mentioned on the A-League Off-Air podcast, he actually asked one of the two players what was said, and Juan Mata apparently said to Bertoncello, "How did you get
who's your agent?"
Yeah.
Who's your agent? Would you like a new one?
My mother apparently said, how do we not give you a run at the Wanderers? Maybe you could get me a start at the Jets. So I think the Wanderers themselves probably knew what they had. It was, just their management that didn't see it, or maybe the management didn't want to take a punt on the youth and want to favour the journeyman. But heck, if we can hang on to him for at least this season, I think we'll get a nice little boost to the transfer budget.
I'd be signing him to another 2-year contract extension next week if I could. I mean, Alan Stadget's supposed to be a pretty good coach. Like, surely he would have identified a player of his talents. But anyway, I'm not sure how things work in the background of Western Sydney's, academy. It does seem to be a bit of a problem for the Wanderers. We've picked up a couple of Wanderers players from their academy that can't break into their first team, and they've performed really well over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I think it is, Ben. I'm tending to remember that there is a couple of players that we picked up that have performed really well for us.
And they're picking up our midfield.
Yeah.
So
from 8 years ago.
So I think it kind of evens out in the end. We'll take their youth. They can take our team of yesteryear, and maybe we can set ourselves up the player swap derby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's still a chance for Job to come out of retirement and play for the Wanderers, and maybe when Tags is finished over in Perth, he can make his way over to Western Sydney as well. That'd really be winding back the clock. Anything else we want to say about? I mean, Matt, we talked about the goals sort of in bits and pieces, but obviously the game. The first goal in the derby was a thunderburst, and I think his first goal in this game was even better, as well as the third, I think, was a long-range effort that was almost as good. But any one of those goals, I mean, you said that from a teamwork perspective, that second goal of his was well worked and was just rewards for the team. But individually, which one of those goals was your favourite?
Sorry, was that me or?
No, that was Matt.
I'd probably pick the first against Victory, just because of the way that he picked the ball up, and he was sort of so confident and so aggressive. After that sort of turn, like we turned the ball over, he made the tackle. He was 35, 40 yards out, drove forward, and as soon as he picked up the ball, he didn't look like he was doing anything except for shooting. It was a perfect shot, and
Yep.
that was, he didn't look like a 19-year-old, in that sort of passage of play, and it continued. Like his third goal against Melbourne was a cracking strike as well. So, if anything, I think that he's probably just put the spotlight on himself. I looked for odds for the top goal scorer odds on Sportsbet before the season started, and I think Lockie Rose was the only Jets player that was even in like the top 30 or whatever that Sportsbet had actually published. I haven't had a look at the odds sort of in the last couple of weeks, but I'm sure that Battleloader would have certainly made inroads, especially since he's like Golden Boot at the moment.
Yeah, by a long way.
Yeah, cracking work. Like I said, it sort of goes to show. It's kudos to Millsy for giving such confidence to young players, and it goes to show that giving young players a go can actually sort of pay huge dividends. Just really quickly, Furns, you touch on Alex Nunes as well.
Yeah.
He was a player that played the cup, shut out as soon as the season started last year, and like he's come back and he's been given a couple of opportunities, not starting, I don't think, but off the bench, and he's had a couple of really good games and laid on an assist from memory too. So, I think against Mariners, or maybe it was a Heidelberg, like the final game where he played the ball across and he almost scored / almost passed it to Gibson. But he's another guy that I think under a different manager or under a different club, like an ownership model, maybe he wouldn't necessarily be getting those opportunities, and maybe that's sort of what was holding Western Sydney back. But like their loss is our gain.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, did you have a favourite Battleloader goal from this game?
Look, definitely the opener. I really liked how the ball was lost. He pretty much went, right, that is mine. Stole it back, went for a run, shoved off a defender, outside the box, goes, right, postage stamp, boom. And just that whole sequence of play was absolutely beautiful and just individual brilliance. And like I said, I love watching players who really take control of a match, and the way that he did that was chef's kiss.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was hilarious to see Jack Duncan yelling at defenders after he concedes a goal again at Hunter Stadium. So that was also
never seen him do that before.
No, it was gratifying to see, and he had to do it 5 times. I mean, there probably wasn't much he could do about the Battleloader Thunder Bastard, but I mean, yeah, it was pretty funny. But anyway, well, look, there were 2 other goal scorers that we should probably also talk about as well. So yeah, the 3 from Battleloader were great, but we obviously talked about the Ben Gibson one, which was an assist by Battleloader. He got the ricochet. And then the last one was obviously Oscar Fryer, just to rub salt into the wounds in the 90th minute, Matt. And again, yeah, we talked about Oscar Fryer before, but yeah, it's good that we've got younger players that are not just coming on to make up the numbers, but they're coming on to make a difference. And every time, doesn't matter who it is, if we're bringing on Ben Gibson, he's going up front to replace Lockie Rose. I'd love to see them both together, but I understand with the way things are going at the moment, we don't need to play them together. And whoever plays, Lockie or Ben, either of those come on for the other, and there's a goal threat there. We've got, like you mentioned, Nunes. We've got Fryer. We've got Bertolicio as well to come on. We've got a bunch of players that can make differences. They're not all household names, but in the past where it's been, players are coming on and we're struggling to see what contributions they're going to be able to make and how they're going to change the game. All these players that are coming on are making a difference.
Yeah, Fryer has been very enthusiastic, and he gets himself into really good positions, and he certainly has that X factor. He sort of showed that in the final. Going back a few weeks now, was it the final or was it against Avondale? Cutting back on, but just that sort of late run to the back post against Avondale was a fantastic finish. Against Victory was a fantastic finish. Like, what else can you say? Like, I mean, he's the kind of player that you want to see coming on in the 70th minute. Too often, I think that we've gone, our coaches have gone too defensive, whereas Mills has sort of certainly shown that, given the balance of the squad, and like I said, I believe it's fairly sort of attacker heavy, especially when it sort of comes to quality. He's prepared to take someone off that's having a good game, like Burgess is probably case in point there, where he's been man of the match and still been taken off after 70, 80 minutes, just to bring on fresh legs and bring on, someone young that is going to be hungry, and it's quite often sort of paid dividends.
Now, it's probably not much point even discussing about a man of the match. Obviously, it was going to be only one name by a long way. Who was your pick?
Duncan.
Who was the runner-up for the man of the match? I would probably be looking at Dobson personally. What about you, Ben?
I'm probably leaning towards Dobson as well. That being said, I'm also, I feel Dobson. I also want to mention Oscar Pryor there as well. He is that kind of impact player who gives that little bit of extra zipping, just gives that extra option, and he went towards the end of the match where we were 4-2 up, and he, the game had kind of turned into a bit of an arm wrestle. Fryer was able to, just with his pace, able to open them up a little bit more as well, and with that cross combination, like with that, and we saw it in Daniel Wilmering giving Fryer the assist as well. Just the speed on the flanks really does give us that extra option. So I'm actually, for me, I can probably toss a coin between Dobson and Pryor. But I think consistency over the whole match, it's got to be Dobson.
Matt, what about you? Who was your runner-up man of the match?
I've got to agree with the two of you. Like, it was unfortunate not to get 2 assists. He did the work for the first one as well, so I think Dobson probably takes it for me. Like, he's had a couple of, in his starts, he's played really, really well in the first half, so it's going to be interesting to see sort of how the season plays out with him and Coda sort of battling for minutes, which is like a pretty good headache for the coach to have.
Absolutely. Just the final point on this game, 6,100 was the final attendance figure for this. Let me just call that back up.
6-4.
6-4?
From memory, anyway.
6137 is what I've got on FOTMob, but if that might not be the official attendance, but still 6,000, especially after winning a final and first home game of the season, all the momentum that's behind us, even with a poor result or a frustrating result, not necessarily a poor result in the first game. Ben, was that surprising to you that it was not sort of high eights, maybe a bit higher?
No, not after the first match. The first match crowd was disappointing. But that being said, after the disappointment of the first match, you kind of got the all right, same old Jets. They're back. I wasn't surprised to see a bit of a dip for this one. I think this week against Sydney is going to be a very interesting one. I'd be hoping to see us get closer to 10 this weekend, but I'm yeah, it's just really hard to kind of pick, I guess, which way it's going to go. But I genuinely hope we do start pushing 10 because we've got the Cup. We've had a good result last week, and let's back it up by smashing the North Shore Snobs.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention that it's 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. So no real excuses. Everyone get along to McDonald Jones Stadium. So, yeah, we'll talk about it now. The Jets versus Sydney FC, 5 p.m. this Saturday. Looking at Stats Daddy Dave's stats. Overall, 57 fixtures. All of those are in the A-League. The Jets have won 11 of those. Sydney have won 33, and there's been 13 draws. In Newcastle, there have been 28 matches. The Jets have won 7 of those. Sydney FC's won 14, and there's been 7 draws. 60 goals to 90, 60 Jets goals to 94 Sydney FC goals. In Newcastle, that's a lot closer, 31 versus 40. Last result was a 3-2 loss. Rose and Mizunuma scoring for 2 goals to us. Sydney scored 3. Costa, Sedicic and Kaczarski, and that was away at Allianz Stadium in round 24. What are you thinking with this one, Matt? I've got a lot more hope that we're going to be much more competitive in these sort of fixtures this season, but Sydney are always a tough nut, no matter whether they're running well or running poorly. We just always seem to struggle against them.
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping that history doesn't play as much of a part in this game, Furns, since most of the players that we've probably got starting have never played against them. So I'm sort of leaning towards us getting things back on track. I think that first 20 minutes or so will be super important, and I think it'll also be really important, like how we refocus after we score or after they score. Bit more experience, bit more time in the legs. So I'm sort of confident that this week we'll come away with a win.
So it's 4th place, 5th, Ben. Obviously, there's been a win for each club. There's obviously already been 2 coaching departures, and we're only 2 weeks into the season so far. Obviously, for those of you living under a rock, obviously Mark Jackson left Central Coast before the season started, and David Zrilich got fired from Perth Glory during the week. So the next coach who's going to be under the spotlight is going to be Tale, because he's been at that club for a little bit now, and it doesn't really seem to have improved their standing. So this could be an opportunity for us to hopefully put a statement performance in and keep up the right end of the table instead of #forever 7th.
Yeah, I think one of 2 things is going to happen in this match. I don't see a draw. I think we are either going to pick up where we left off and we will walk away with a 3-zip victory, or actually no, Delianov will be in goal, so 3-2. We will play Sydney back in a form, and Ufi Tale will guide Sydney FC to the final series as a result of playing against the Jets in round 3. I am hopeful that we can kind of pick up where we left off, and I think the return of Eli and Taylor is going to be big for us. That's going to give Mark Milligan quite a few more options off the bench and within the starting lineup. I just really does, a lot of it does depend on how we start the match. If we can pick up a goal in the first 10-15, I can see us carrying on. But that being said, we have one of the worst over this season so far, the Australia Cup and last season. We tend to concede our goals close towards the end of each half. So if we can shut that down, not concede towards the end of the first half, and not concede in the final 5-10 minutes of the match, I can see us actually getting a win here.
Were you putting any money on Battleado to add to his goal tally, Matt?
It'd be hard not to at the moment. But then again, the odds that he's paying to be an anytime goal scorer are probably nothing. So I wouldn't
true.
put money up. We wouldn't put money on it, but it wouldn't surprise me. If he was, able to put another one back in the back of the net, he's sort of shown that he doesn't need much of an opportunity. Can happen from anywhere within about 30 yards. So yeah, he's certainly going to be a bit more of a focus of the opposition team talk, I think, than the unknown 19-year-old that he was in the first 2 rounds.
But then again, that's going to open up opportunities for other players. If they're all going to be concentrating on Battleado, then that's hopefully going to give the other players some more room to run around. It'll only take another hat trick for Alex to get on the leading scorers charts, because the Jets players that have scored the most goals against Sydney FC, it's a grand total of 3 goals, and they've been scored by Milton Rodriguez, Ryan Griffiths, Jeremy Brocky, Michael Bridges, Jobe Wheelhouse, and Dimi Petratos. So all he's got to do is score a hat trick in this first game.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's it. They're the players that are the leading scorers in this against Sydney FC. So you'd have to score a couple of hat tricks to beat the Sydney FC player, which is Alex Brosk. He's scored 12 goals against us, but yeah.
At the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So Matt, would you be looking to change the starting lineup with those players now being available, or would you be keeping it similar?
The Max Cooper one's a big one for me. I think that if he's fit, he'll potentially come back in. Apart from that, mate, I don't think that there's sort of be too many other changes. I think that everyone, gave a pretty good account of themselves in the last match, and even in that sort of Central Coast match, there weren't necessarily bad plays. There were bad moments, but you will get that with the experience that we've got in the team. So I think that that changes will probably be minimal.
What about you, Ben? I'm tending to think that we looked pretty solid with Shaughnessy in the back line. I'd probably be keeping him there and maybe taking the pressure off Cooper, and maybe looking to rotate him back in a game or two. Maybe not necessarily for this one, just maybe give Shaughnessy a bit of a run now that he's back and fit, get that match sharpness up, so that we've then got him operating at peak, and then we can sort of rotate between him and Shuznar if that's what Millsy's looking at doing, or maybe even go to a back 3 and then he'd be able to change a few things around in other parts of the pitch. But yeah, I don't think we really need to worry about changing too much at all.
Yeah, I agree. Probably the only change I would look to make is if Eli Adams is fit, I think he would start off ahead of Bertoncello. But that being said, that is the only change I would probably make for the starting lineup.
It's probably going to make the bench a lot more interesting, Matt. I'm just going to go back to the. I'm just going to try and go back to the last game against Victory. Once I can find it in my. There we go. So looking at the subs bench for the game, we had Lockie Rose, Oscar Fryer, Christian Braco, Bert Alicio, Bayliss, obviously the keeper, not Lockie, obviously Max Cooper, and also Lockie Bayliss. So which of those do you think would be dropping off for this game to bring in both Eli and Clayton Taylor?
As much as he did get on the pitch, I think it'll probably be Bertolicio that'll probably make way. I think that Lockie Bayliss still sort of adds a little bit.
Yeah.
Covering a slightly different sort of different sector of the field. It's a really tough one because like I said, it's going to be tough to bring in Adams and Taylor into a team that's already sort of had such a good attacking performance, and that's what's exciting, I think, about like this Jet squad at the moment is that front half it's cutthroat at the moment. Like you've also got Coda to come back in at a like later date. There's no sort of nailed on starters. Like even like as much as Gibson didn't do anything wrong, that Gibson Lockie Rose battle for the starting number 9 spot's a pretty good one as well. Like you can make arguments either way. I agree with that Ben that maybe Bertoncello's sort of fallen off a little bit. As far as his form goes, or not fallen off, but not had the same impact that he was in the Australia Cup. It's just a matter of like which sides that players prefer, etc. So yeah, I think it's tough to bring Adams and Taylor sort of both into that squad. Like who do you drop without losing more defensive coverage?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was going to be the thing. I was going to say maybe Bracco gets dropped, but he's one of the few defenders. So that would leave Cooper being the only defender on the bench. And if, you'd want to have flexibility of options. And if you're basically overloading your subs bench with mainly attackers and only one defender and a goalkeeper, then you're maybe possibly asking for trouble. But that's why Millsy's paid the big bucks, and we're not. We just chat shit on a podcast.
Say of all the looking at the lineup that did go up against Victory, I would probably, for me, it would be Bertoncello to the bench and Adams on, and probably Lockie Bayliss. I don't know whether he needs more game time, whether he just needs a little bit of time away to kind of get his stuff together. But he's probably the one who's, I think, on the bench players, the one who's under the most amount of pressure to step up, because now that Clayton Taylor's back, we are very sport for choice in as far as attacking midfielders going, especially in the wide areas as well. So Lockie Bayliss really does need to find where his sweet spot is and make it his own.
Absolutely. Now, I'm just going to quickly look at the Sydney FC lineup. So their last game was 2-0 win against the Coast. Slightly hilarious, but anyway. Not heaps of players that obviously Toure, Lolly, Ryan Grant, Josh King, couple of players in there that you'd recognise, but they've had a fair bit of turnover as well. So they're sort of looking at trying to find some consistency as well. So it should be theoretically a fairly decent match. Looking at it from a tipping standpoint, and as we lead into that, looking at the Jetstream tipping comp that's been running with the running amongst the contributors. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I'm currently leading. Dr. Emma 1 point behind. With also producer Pete. Not going to throw any shade at anybody else a little bit further down. I have no idea how I get anywhere near the top of the table because my tipping is traditionally horrendous. For this game, I am going to tip us to come away with the win. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, you're a traitor if you don't.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Jets.
Ben?
I'm convinced that the reason why we lost to the Mariners is because I did actually tip us to win. So I'm going to say Sydney because I'm the bad luck guy.
It's reverse psychology.
You mute him.
It's reverse psychology. I can understand it. I was very similar. But I've decided to stick my neck out this season. So I did. Obviously, we weren't on a podcast last week, so I did tip the Jets to win, and we did. So I don't know whether it's actually me vocalising that I'm tipping the Jets is what we'll find out this week. If we lose, we know it's my fault as well. So I will be joining you on that same train of thought, Ben. Absolutely.
Win, lose, or draw is enough, Furns. You don't have to say it'll be 2-1.
I know. It doesn't seem to matter. So, yeah, that's Saturday, 1st of November, 5 p.m. kickoff, McDonald Jones Stadium. Get down there, and hopefully it's going to be a good crowd. Like I said, Jets currently sitting in 4th position, Sydney FC sitting in 5th. We're above them on goal difference. Just running through quickly the table, Melbourne City sitting at the top, equal points with Wellington and Auckland, both all on 4. Us on 3, Sydney FC on 3, Adelaide on 3, Brisbane on 3, Bulls on 3, Central Coast on 3, and then down the bottom of the ladder is Wanderers, Victory, and Perth. I'm getting this off our tipping website that we're using, so I'm hoping that's actually up to date, and I haven't just, put egg all over my own face. But anyway, so looking at the rest of the round, Friday night, 31st of August, 7:35 p.m. kickoff from Brisbane. Brisbane hosting Melbourne City. Ben, what's your tip in this one?
I'm saying Melbourne City. Brisbane, kind of similar situation to Central Coast. They are fighting for every single thing, but they got shown up really, really badly last week against Wellington. So I think Melbourne City are going to be too strong for them.
I'm sort of hovering between a City win and a draw. I'm going to go a draw. Matt, what about you?
I'm not going to pick a draw only because every draw that I've picked has not come off so far this season. I'm going to go City. I think that sort of glimmer of hope that Brisbane sort of showed, pre-season, etc., is sort of slowly fading, and I sort of feel like the City juggernaut is starting to get into gear. So yeah, City.
I'll stick with my draw. The second game on Friday night is a 9:45 p.m. kickoff over in Perth. Perth hosting Victory. Have we found out who the new coach is yet?
Nope.
I haven't seen anything.
So it's
they might do better with that one.
Well, I couldn't do any worse with one. I actually found it interesting. I was listening back to a few of the pre-season podcasts from Round Ball and Aussies Abroad and a couple of the other ones. David Zrilic was supposedly fairly highly touted when they hired him. He'd been trained in the Red Bull Academy coaching side of things, and it just never really seemed to. It didn't really shine through. We're looking at him, and when he's been in charge of Perth, it just didn't really seem to be any sort of plan. It was really weird. I was surprised to hear that he had actually had some decent coaching bona fides, but yeah, they don't seem to have helped him at all. Yeah. Anyway, that was a little side road, but Perth Glory, Melbourne Victory. Could this be a draw, Matt?
Like, history says that Perth will bounce back with the new coach, but since we don't have an official announcement on who the new coach is, I'm actually going to go Victory on this one. As much as yes, like I'm leaning towards draw, or history saying Perth, I'm going to go Victory.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to say Victory as well. And main reason being is that there isn't actually even an interim head coach at the moment in Perth. I think Strilic has been shafted quite a bit by a lot of backroom stuff, and for that reason, I think Perth are in strike for a lot longer. I think it can take more than John Eloise here to turn them around. So until I see otherwise, I'm tipping against them, and this is going to be Melbourne Victory.
Yeah, well, that's
just looking. They're saying that Johnny Anastasiadis might be right up there as far as possibilities.
Well, I thought he was being touted for the Mariners. I thought he was going to the Mariners. I thought Johnny A was going to the Mariners.
Only if Laurie McKenna can get this deal over the line for Sydney Olympic to buy the Mariners.
Yeah, righto. Okay. All right. Well, that is what it is. I would probably much prefer to. Well, if Johnny A does go to Perth, he'd probably actually turn them around. So I don't know if I really want that. But anyway, it's hard enough going to Perth when they're crap and we always lose, let alone going over there when they're a juggernaut again. Right, Saturday, early kickoff, 3 p.m. From Auckland. Sees Adelaide United travelling over there to take on Auckland. So I'm probably Auckland are going to be battling it out, I think, for Melbourne City for honours this season. I can't see that Wellington streak lasting, but I think Auckland are probably going to win this one fairly handily. Ben, what about you?
Yeah, 100%. Adelaide, I did say in our last one that Adelaide were one of my tips for the shit show sweepstakes, and last week kind of showed me that. So, yeah, I'm saying Auckland.
Matt?
Yeah, they've definitely been the slow burn. I think they're going to be too tough to beat at home, so I'm going Auckland.
Righto. And the game after us is 7:35 p.m. kickoff from Campbelltown. Macarthur hosting Western Sydney, the Fox Western Sydney derby, as it were. I don't know who to pick in this one, and that's probably why I'm going to pick a draw. Ben?
The same. I hope both teams lose, so I'm saying draw.
Matt?
Yeah, no standout, but I'm going to run with Macarthur.
Righto. And the last game is obviously Central Coast. They're hosting Wellington. I'm obviously definitely going to be picking Wellington any day of the week and twice on Sundays, which means I'll probably lose, but fingers crossed. Matt?
Yeah, 4-0 Wellington.
The Bodie special. Ben?
Yeah, Wellington.
Oh, good. Excellent. Righto. That's all our tips entered, and we'll see how we'll update you, obviously, the next time we record, which will hopefully be next week. But again, like I always say, it depends on people's availabilities. I don't think there's any other news that needs to be mentioned apart from a very interesting thing that popped up on social media about a fairly sizable cash giveaway at the Jets game on Saturday, Ben?
Yeah, so there's going to be a bucket placed in the centre of the pitch, and I'm not sure if people are going to be throwing from the stands or whether you're allowed to come down a little bit closer, but if you are able to land your paper aeroplane in the bucket, you can win a share of $25,000. So I am taking in a Boeing 737 with me to McDonald Jones and saying that it's paper, and I'm going to be walking away $25,000 richer and probably in handcuffs.
Not a bad idea, Matt. I'm assuming, Ben, that the paper that they're providing is going to give people the opportunity to write their name on it, and that's how they're going to find out who the person was that actually threw it. But ideal situation where we could have had jet-shaped hats that we could have been throwing in a big bucket in the middle of the ground.
Yeah, well, I mean, the carrot's there. The chance that they're actually going to have to pay it to anyone is
minimal,
pretty minimal. So
yeah.
I'm not sure that it's necessarily going to increase crowd numbers, but it'll certainly provide a little bit of halftime entertainment.
It's certainly something that's going to provide a lot of interaction, and that's the sort of thing you want to see, and that sort of thing is what you really need to try and entice people, because you want to go along and have fun. Like that, and the teddy bear toss is sort of something that the crowd can get involved with, that anybody can get involved with, and that's sort of maybe some of the. If anyone's got any ideas, please either send them through to us or send them through to Jets Marketing, because that's the sort of thing that's going to increase our crowds from 6,000 up to 8 or 9. So 25 grand depend. You don't have any clarification, Ben, as to where people are going to be able to. Are they going to be? Everyone's going to be throwing from the fence line, I'm assuming, or you have to throw from your seat?
Would not have a clue. Sorry, none of that's been shared yet. But all I will say is, if I win the $25,000 by myself, I will be investing in some jet-shaped hats.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be asking for a donation to help finance the Jetstream. If anyone does win and feels like sending a little bit of money our way. But, yeah, absolutely. Get along to the stadium on Saturday afternoon. Make your best paper aeroplane and see if you can win 25 grand thanks to who's providing it. Is it Spartan? Is that the name of the company?
I think it is.
Pretty sure
I'm just having a quick...
We're just, yeah, Google's our friend. I'm pretty sure it's Spartan something. Spartan.
Yep, Spartan Race.
Spartan Race. Okay. And what do they do?
They race Spartans.
Well, oh, let's go with that. Yeah, righto. Yeah, Spartan Race Australia. It's a obstacle course, trail, and extreme endurance. According to what I can see, there's some sort of trifecta weekend apparently.
Yeah, those guys. I was there last week.
Sorry.
Those guys. I was there last week.
I'm sure you were. Yeah, a little bit too physically intensive for me, but yeah, looks like something along the similar lines to Tough Mudder or something along. Yeah, it's some sort of course by the looks of it. So yeah. Anyway, 25 grand. Make a paper airplane and see if you can. Sorry.
Seems a bit more legit than the London Football Exchange or one of those other crypto guys. But yeah,
crypto bros, absolutely. But not necessarily as much engagement on social media videos because that tended to go viral, even if it was for the wrong reasons. Viral is still viral. I think we're running out of things to talk about, so we'll wrap it up here. Matt, thanks for coming on. Ben, thanks for coming on.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having us, Furns.
No worries at all.
Thanks for joining in, Ben.
Beautiful. Right, so get along to the website. That will hopefully see some improvements over the next couple of weeks. It's basically when I can find the time to do it. But jump on the forums when they're up. I do apologise. The forums were actually down for a couple of days, some sort of database error. I couldn't actually log in to fix it. It seems to have fixed itself of its own accord. I've pretty much made the decision I need to upgrade them to or reinstall different ones to get it going again. So that's going to be a project over the next couple of weeks when I can find the time and the $300 it's going to cost me. Keep an eye out for that. But get along to the Newcastle Football.net website for subscription links. Obviously, like I mentioned, the forums and all the other content that's on there as well. If you want to put your hand up to help provide content for that, especially the front page of the website, it's mainly just me posting podcast episodes. But if you'd like to write articles and all that sort of thing, feel free to get in contact. We are on all the social media channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, X, or Twitter, as we like to call it, and Threads at Jetstream Newey on all of those. And in the next couple of weeks, I will also hopefully be adding the podcast to the YouTube music service. It's going to be another place you'll be able to subscribe to the podcast now that we have royalty-free music that's not going to get us struck down by the powers that be for copyright. So if you want to get in contact with us, like I said, all those social media channels, you can message us through those, or you can email us, podcast@newcastlefootball.net. Until next time, vamos el Jerkos.
Come on, the Jets.
The Jets.
I actually thought you guys had hung up on me. I hadn't gone into the Discord service to see if you were still there.
We just let you run with it.
Yep. No, fair enough. It takes me a while to remember all the shit that I've got to say at the end.